All right, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. And today is National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and we're celebrating by going to the girls' basketball game tonight as a team and cheering on the girls. So that'll be exciting. I also want to thank the young ladies who work in our department, football. Todd, who works at the academics, does a fabulous job, and Emily and Lauren with nutrition. Both are just outstanding. And then Mari, who's in our football operations department, and then Avery, your sports medicine. I just appreciate everything they do for our football program. Signing day was today. It was the second signing day. We did not sign anybody. That's February signing period has kind of gone by the wayside in Division I athletics, I guess, across the board, football in particular. But over the course of the portal and also high school signing, we added 39 players, student athletes. 20 of them transfer guys from the portal and 19 of them high school kids. We want to make sure every year we continue to keep doing a good job of supplementing our roster with great high school players. And 9 of those freshmen that we signed are early enrollees and are here right now on campus. That's a big advantage, but I don't, try to make that something that the kids have to do. If they, we got one guy who's defending his high school state championship in the shot, the disc, and some other guys that are doing some great things in track as well. So if they got some stuff going on, we go ahead and have them do it. Out of those 39 players, we addressed a few different positions. One was the offensive line position. We felt like that was critical for us to get some offensive linemen who can play, Power 4 football. We feel like we signed 5 really good guys out of the portal who have got a lot of starting experience. As a matter of fact, I think we've got out of all those guys that we signed out of the portal, all of them were starters at their previous institution, at least some point. A lot of them, starting 10, 20, 30 games with all of them. Also really feel like we signed a great freshman class. We're really excited about those guys we've brought in from the state of Texas and also Louisiana, our 2 main areas that we're recruiting as far as high school guys are concerned. And one other thing to note is that the schedule was released, and it's unique in the fact that we're going home away every other week throughout the season, and the first 3 ball games are going to be here in the city of Houston. Week number 2 we play Rice over at their place, so not too far down the road. So we're very, very excited about the schedule that we have coming up. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them.
The conversations that you're having with either high schoolers or transfers, how are they different from what you were selling, a year ago when you first got here?
Well, we got the experience. I came in a year ago. It was kind of a whirlwind because we played an extra week, and there wasn't a whole lot of high school kids that we had an opportunity to get at that time. Signing day was in just a few days, and we're a little bit behind, so completely and totally different. We had a whole year to prepare for this signing class, and you got an opportunity to establish relationships with the high school coaches, parents, the kids themselves, and for the most part, we've kept our staff intact, so we've been able to have continuity, with the conversations that we're having with the student athletes.
Willie, you made no secret that offense was going to be a focal point to add. How do you feel like you did?
I think we did great. The 5 young men we signed on the offensive line, I think, are outstanding. We grabbed a couple of high quality receivers. A real good tight end, good running back. And then obviously, we got a quarterback, with Connor Wigman, team up with Zion. We're going to have great competition in the spring, and then, then sign a great freshman quarterback in Austin Carlisle. So we addressed a lot of, spots on the offense, and we needed to.
What was it about Wegman that you sort of identified that he could fit what you want to do, and you could go out and get him?
Oh, I had a little bit of history with him. I actually coached his dad at Sam Houston State. He was a linebacker for us when I was there in the early 90s. But that wasn't the primary reason. We signed him. We signed him because he's a darn good quarterback. It was interesting. I went to the Peach Bowl and watched Arizona State and Texas play, and Jimbo Fisher was sitting next to me for a lot of the events that I was there for a couple days. And boy, he and his wife couldn't say enough great things about Connor and what he did for them over at A&M. So we're excited to see him come in and compete this spring and show us those things here at the University of Houston.
Is he healthy?
Yes.
Outside of just his talent, what does he bring you guys to the program?
Well, he started a bunch of ball games, played in a bunch of high quality games, and he's been there, done that. It's not going to be something where he's going to have wide eyes. The first time he goes into, we still call it TDECU Stadium for a little while. All right. So he's not going to get intimidated by, going in or going and playing in a hostile environment. So, he's got a lot of proven game experience.
You mentioned McGrary, the tight end, and then
Yeah.
Broussard and Thomas. You have that, and then you have what you're bringing back. Do you feel like you need to look more, or do you feel like you feel good about the receivers?
We feel really good about it. We got some good receivers coming back. We really do, and we just got to do a good job. We talked about it. We got to get better offensively. We got to run the ball more effectively, and we got to be much better at protecting and throwing the ball. We weren't anywhere near where we needed to be last season, but I do think we added, some really good talent to some guys, that we had some talent in those areas too. I thought got some good running backs returning, receivers we talked about, some guys with a little experience at the tight end position. We got a little bit of experience coming back on the offensive line. Then we talked about quarterback already, but we got to make major strides on the offensive side of the ball and continue to keep improving defensively and also in the kicking game.
Coach, you brought in Dean Connors, and he's a throw on the ground, but also he can catch passes. How important is that versatility in a running back?
Really important. If you got a guy who can only do one thing, that's a nice key and tip for the defense. He can't pass protect or he can't catch the ball. You're probably not going to get that, or if you do, he's not going to be a weapon for you. So Dean really does a good job with everything, running interior, out on the perimeter, catching the ball. He even does a good job of blocking. Watched a lot of tape on him because I played against him a couple of years ago, and he's a really good player, and he'll add to, I think, an already talented stable of running backs.
Given what you do have back in the backfield, does his versatility allow you to? Does it open things up?
Yeah, you'd like to have your backs be able to do everything. It's usually they all do a good job running the ball, and some of them have natural hands, and some of them you have to teach how to block. They hadn't done that much in the past. A lot of, high school offenses, they use the guy more as a decoy on pass plays. They don't pass protect. But we run somewhat of a pro-style offense where the running back's got to be able to do everything, and if he can't, we got to get a guy in there who can do it and just work towards that guy's strengths. But we'd like to develop it where he has a full game.
Given your history,
What goes on that defensive success you had? Obviously some changes coaching-wise, but that defense from last year.
Yeah, we did. We played well defensively for the majority of the season, and we got a lot of those guys coming back, and I think we helped ourselves with depth in the portal, and also with high school guys. We beat a lot other Power 4 schools for a lot of these guys, both high school kids and in the portal. And, that doesn't always mean they're going to be great players, but, it's, we're competing against different schools this year than as opposed to last year.
Given your history with Slade, has the conversations been where it's not a complete overhaul of what y'all want to do offensively, but just still bouncing ideas?
Yeah,
Or do you have an idea
there's going to be some things that we did well last year, and there's going to be some things with terminology that we're going to keep. But, I got a lot of confidence in Slade. He did a fantastic job for us, at our previous stop. And I think also it's good that he had that season at LSU. They were one of the top drop-back pass teams in the country, and we got to get better in that area, with the quarterback, the receivers, the backs, the offensive line in particular. And so I think that's going to give him, there's going to be, a mix of a little bit of what we did last season, what he did in the past with us at Tulane, and then also, some things that he added to the arsenal from LSU.
Why did you choose P.J. Hall?
PJ played for me at Tulane. Started almost 4 years for us. And he just, I know a lot about him. I recruited him. We have a deal we call the list. All right, where if a guy is late to breakfast, lunch, he's late to class, he misses a tutoring appointment, weight room, he, doesn't clean his locker properly. There's hundreds of things on that list. And, him and his roommate were never on the list for 4 years. Roommate was Darnell Mooney, plays with the Falcons. And those two guys just did everything right. He was a really intelligent student, which doesn't always carry over to being an intelligent football player. But, he was a 3-point plus student, and he was a 4.0 as a football player. And then I checked it with some people who worked with him. I had the Bell brothers who worked with him at Baylor. They couldn't say enough great things about him. I had a guy that, worked for me that worked with him and couldn't say enough great things about him. And then I'm good friends with Todd Whitten, the head coach at Tarleton. And Todd didn't want to lose him, but he just said he was outstanding. So, that was kind of a slam dunk. The job was never really open after it opened up. It was a pretty quick hire.
Do you anticipate naming a defensive passing game coordinator?
What's that?
Do you anticipate?
I don't know. We're going to look at that a little bit. Some of that also feeds into our defensive coordinator, talking with him as well. But we got some really good guys on the defensive side of the ball, good coaches, and most of them are back, which is outstanding. So that there's a lot of continuity. They know how to. When I'm not sitting in a meeting with them and Coach Armstrong, they can tell him how I like to do things, and it's hard for me to be in every meeting, offense, defense, kicking game, and then some of the other things I do all day, every day. But and then also they can help, with, hey, Coach, we're doing this, and that used to be what we call this, because there will be some terminology changes.
Willie, that schedule started last year with UNLV at Oklahoma, one of the tougher ones in the country. Does the schedule give you guys more of a chance to sort of get into the season?
Well, I like the fact that we're going to be, pretty much at home first 3 weeks. I think that's great, and I think that's outstanding. But we gotta prepare and get ourselves better. We gotta get a lot better than we were last year. We get a lot better than we were last year, we'll have more success. It's usually how it works.
What were your first thoughts or reactions when looking at the schedule?
Well, the every other week I thought was neat. I think the first conference game will be neat. Having Colorado come in here. They've had a great program and done a lot of neat things. So that was kind of what I saw looking at the schedule. The thing that's great about the month of February for coaches is that it's kind of morbid sounding, but it's dead period, as far as recruiting is concerned. So our coaches can't go on the road, kids can't come in here and see us, so we get to focus and concentrate on our team. And something that I do is our guys, when our guys are lifting weights, the offensive coaches are in with the offense, defensive coaches are in with the defense. I try to be in both groups. And then on Fridays, we have the whole team together where everybody's together. Because we do have some new guys. We're trying to meet and learn and know who they are. And one of the things about the weight room, we didn't do it this year, and I should have, is, we put numbers on the guys, or we put first name here, last name in the back. We had so many new guys last year, we had to do that. We don't have as many new guys this season. I guess we're returning 77 players from last year. So, we got quite a few guys coming back, and there's some familiarity, and that's how you build culture, is by having these relationships with guys and understanding each other. And I got a lot of players who understand how I like to do things, and they can help the new players in that regard. Last year, I really only had a few dudes that came with me from over at Plant and could explain to some guys what we were looking for.
Willie, any updates on guys like Corey, Platt, how they're doing? Zion had a procedure.
Yeah.
Nickel.
They're both doing really good. Zion is, we feel like he'll be full speed, for spring ball. If not, it'll be really close. Corey is going to be really close to full speed. Caleb McNichol should be full speed. He's really progressed quickly with the ACL injury that he had. But we're smart about it. We don't play a game till August the 28th. Is that correct? So we got some time, and as a matter of fact, I was in there the other day and watching some stuff that a few of the guys that were banged up a little bit were doing, and I was going, hey, let's back off. We don't need to have this guy prove himself here. And this was the last week in January that the guy was running around doing anything. We're not playing a game for a while. So, that's one of the things. We want to get everybody as healthy as we can for spring football, but if there's any doubt in our mind, we need to wait a little bit during that time period as well.
Is Tony Mathis no longer with the program?
No, he's not with us, but I do think Tony's going to play another season. He's rehabbing with us right now, and he's going to make that decision if he's going to go another year.
Oh, but he could. That year would be here.
He's looking at it. He's got to see if he's able to get fully healthy. He's working on that right now.
Were you involved in the SFA game being on Thursday?
A little bit. They asked me if that would be all right with me. I thought it would be. There's some things, I guess, going on in the city on Saturday. I kind of keep myself out of it, to be honest with you. And
is there a benefit to you to play on Thursday?
I don't know if there is or there isn't. I do think early in the season, there's a lot of excitement with college football beginning. And, I think it'll be a great opportunity for us to get a ton of students out, to the ball game. And then also if there are a lot of things going on in the city, I'll tell you a funny story. They told me that Eddie was explaining it to Nunez, and he kept talking about the weekend, and I thought he was talking about Friday, Saturday, the weekend. But I guess there's a musical performer called The Weeknd, and he's actually performing in Houston that day. So I'm a little out of it, and I heard he's very, very popular. I should have known who the heck he was, but I didn't.
Willie, coaches lose staff members and stuff. Zach was a little bit more personal.
Yeah, it was.
Was that tough to lose your son?
Yeah, it was tough. Zach did a great job for us. He's a great young man, and so that stung a little bit more than others. But in this profession, that's how it goes.
Go back to receiver, to offense. Is it sort of glass half full when you look at where y'all were last year? Because you were close on a couple of games, a score here and there, maybe changes where it doesn't seem like it's an off season where you have to just completely just scrap everything. I mean, the pieces are there. It's just a matter of adding.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys. I'm going to use Coach Hester, for example, our strength and conditioning coach, who does a fabulous job. He doesn't have to, he does explain everything in great detail, but there's 77 guys in the room who know what he's talking about now, as opposed to, 4 guys that had been with him before. So that's a huge advantage. And then, in meetings, they can ask a fellow player rather than, me. There's a lot more continuity right now. That makes it much easier.
Willie, you talked about that, setting that culture. Have you seen a difference? You have to say less things to guys, or are guys more, aware of
Yeah, culture is just so important. It's hard to put your thumb directly on it, but it's establishing relationships and building true relationships take a period of time. They don't happen overnight, sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle, right, and it goes, and then maybe it doesn't work out so well the next year. But when you establish true culture, and you have good enough players and good enough coaches, you got an opportunity to replicate success year after year after year after year. But it's like tonight. This is part of building our culture. Everybody's, this is mandatory. Everybody's going to the women's basketball game tonight. We're going to cheer our guts out, and we're going to stay for the whole game and cheer them on for a victory. And then we're going to do some stuff with the Roughnecks games, and we're going to go to softball games. We're going to go to baseball games. I couldn't do that last year because I was putting out fires and recruiting and doing all these other things. So this is something that we're really, going to do a great job of. Is doing a lot of things together so we can help build culture.
Is the spring football schedule still around the 17th?
Yeah, we're going to start the week after our spring break. We'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, meeting and lifting, and then we'll go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, practice. And our spring game will be on Saturday, April the 19th. I'll have a Letterman's event, on the 18th that evening. That may be something some of you want to come to. We had 179 former Lettermen that came last year. It was outstanding, and I saw a bunch of them on the road recruiting, and they're looking forward to it. Saw a bunch of them the other night at Andre Ware's event. He got inducted into the Houston Sports Hall of Fame, and he had a bunch of his former teammates there with him. Then we're going to have a big football clinic on Friday, April the 4th, I believe. We do something a little bit different. Is we invite high school coaches to come to any practices they want to, and because their schedules are all different. Might be hard for some guys to come on the 4th. And we had over 300 high school coaches that came and watched us practice last year from all over the country. So we had some guys from Oregon and last year that came and watch practice, right? So we'll open it up again.
Well, a guy like Wegman, what do you have him doing right now, or what's the key to get him ready for?
He's full go right now as far as health is concerned. Yeah, you give him a playbook. You got some hour limitations that you can do with guys right now, but once spring ball hits, that those hours go up to 20 a week, and but there's playbooks and videos that, he can look at and things like that. So the big thing we're wanting him to do is make sure he's 100% healthy and he gets to know everybody and the other quarterbacks and receivers and offensive side of the ball, but also the whole team. Just like we want all the new guys to do.
You mentioned what people have said about him from his time there with Jimbo and his but was there anything in your interaction with him that sort of sold you on this could be the guy?
Oh, Sean Bell had recruited the heck out of him at Baylor. So Sean had a really good relationship with him as well. And I think he wanted to stay close to home. I've been selling this with everybody. I mentioned that as a big part of our success at Tulane was, we had New Orleans kids going and they thought the grass was greener someplace else and found out it was only green and came back home. I think it's going to happen with a lot of these Houston kids. I had a kid who was playing at a school that played in the championship game. So you can guess he's one of the two, right? But he just said, Coach, after I got up, the stadium was the same size. It was a little chilly, and then my mom couldn't come to all the games. It was hard for me to get back home, and that's he reached out to us, after he got in the portal, rather than us having to reach out, to convince him to come back home. That's what he wanted to do.
So we haven't talked much about defense. Have you ever been around a guy like Austin Armstrong, who's that young and has that much experience already, or at least been around type of coaches that he has?
Yeah, he's been around some guys, Coach Saban and Coach Smart, and all the great coaches he's with at Florida. But again, I know some people who have worked with him on a daily basis. The number one ingredient for me is when I hire a coach, I want him to be a good person and a good role model and mentor to our guys. I've only goofed it up a couple times in my career where I hired a guy that, after about a month, I was like, oh man, that was a mistake. I listened to the wrong person. So I really gather a lot of information. And all I've ever heard is great things about Austin as a person. And, there was a game we played a couple of years ago where they beat us at Southern Miss when I was at Tulane. I didn't think they should have. So that impressed me, that ball game. And he's called it. That's the other tough thing when you get to this level, particularly in your second year. You're going to have guys that have got experience calling games at a high level. And Slade's done that, and so is Austin.
What advice do you have for the new recruits coming into this environment and playing for the team?
Well, we just, it's everything kind of from A to Z. But we just want them to learn and absorb as much information as they can. And, we talk about being 1-0 every day. That's not just as a player, but as a person and also as a student. And, we came in here today and we went over guys who have gotten some great grades over the last, couple weeks. We had the highest GPA in Houston football history this last semester. I'm proud of that. And but we want to get even better. We can get better. There's room for improvement there. So we're pushing our guys in that area as well.
Coach, about how long does it take to see these high school guys start to get comfortable in your system?
As far as football is concerned, it's really not till you get out there and get going. By the end of spring ball, the guys that have been here all since January, you're going to be able to tell, hey, are they going to be able to play for you in the fall? And some positions are a little more difficult to do that than others. But we signed a really good freshman class. I'm really impressed with those guys, and I'm really looking forward to the guys who weren't able to come in early when they get here in May. But it's a very good class.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Just looking at the old linemen that you brought in, I'm going to butcher some of these, Agnello, and is it Ebicel?
Yep. Alvin.
Are they, is it too early to say sort of how, are they versatile, or can they, or based on what they
Yeah,
play
one of the
elsewhere?
things with offensive line is, we try, particularly in spring ball, give them a position, a home base, all right? But then when you get into the third week, kind of move them a little bit if they're capable of doing that, because you want to play your best five rather than playing, the backup right tackle is 10 times better than the backup left tackle. Left tackle goes down, you stick that guy in there. Well, you better have worked that guy at the other spot. But the thing I'm impressed with is McKenzie, like you talked about. He's started a ton of games. Really played a lot of football. Division I AA football and Division I football in New Mexico. Alvin has started a bunch of games. All right, we got our and again, Wycock with Coach Fisher really spoke highly of him too. He coached him over at Texas A&M. He started a bunch of games at A&M and at Cal. Merriman started a bunch of games at Tech. I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing? Oh, Jason Brooks. He started a bunch of games at Oklahoma State. So these guys have You know, it's not that they were at a Power 4 school. You know, I know McKenzie wasn't with New Mexico, but you know, he played a lot of really good competition there. You know, those guys have started and played a lot. They've got a lot of snaps under their belt. So that's a big reason why we recruited them also.